Hi, this is Pernilla from Astroswan, and I just wanted to check in with all of you because as I wrote a little bit about on my story yesterday, Saturn is going direct today, and the energy of Saturn is he's like the last of the personal planets. So we really feel this energy when there's a shift, just as we feel an energy when there's a shift in the sun and the moon and Mercury, etc. And he's been retrograde since 30th of April. So that's been a long time where we have gotten used to one expression of the energy. And now with the direct movement, just as when there was this retrograde movement, he's standing still in the sky. And for a lot of people, that can feel like really heavy lifting. We feel grief, we feel stuck, we feel frustration, we feel like things are moving so slow. Maybe our bodies are moving so slow. Maybe we're just like depressed and negative, and we can't, maybe fear is coming up. Saturn is a big thing around fear. So all these different things can show up in our lives. And it's not about you doing anything wrong. It's about this shift. And everything that comes up now is things that you need to let go of. He's like the last of the personal planets, and therefore there's a lot of boundary issues, a lot of things about letting go, endings that's surrounded by his movements. And standing still is, yeah, he'll be doing that for like a couple of days and then slowly moving forward. So having patience with yourself, talking to yourself nicely. Don't pressure yourself. Don't be hard on yourself if you can't focus, if you're restless, if all of these different things that has to do with responsibility, not taking responsibility, not committing or committing is showing up. That is something that has to do with Saturn and his movements. I decided to take a very slow morning, just having a webinar for me to get a little bit new teaching about Saturn here in this early morning. And then tomorrow night, I will do a Facebook Live on Saturn in Danish on my Facebook page, and I'll tell you a lot more about what this Saturn direct movement means, because we're in the last stretch of this Saturn in Capricorn, and that might be something that you're all kind of wishing and hoping for this to be over, because he's in his home sign. So we've felt this energy very much like you need to build a new foundation, you need to commit more, you need to show up more, you need to mature more. But there's also a lesson in finding out what is how do you do that with integrity? How do you do that with showing up as who you are, with everything that you encompass, both the light and the dark sides, with the shadows, and with all of you, instead of just being like this perfect, polished version of showing up and maybe doing what is expected of you, what has been socialized into you, instead of kind of choosing your own path in this. Being mature, being adult, forcing kind of your own way around. And see, now the kitty got he got enough of the Saturn, so now he's walking away. So yes, so I'll be telling a lot more about that in the Facebook Live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and it will be in Danish. And on my Patreon site, I will also put up, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, like an article about Saturn, and a little bit more in depth about what it will mean in the different houses, in the different signs. Maybe also a little bit about what it will mean if you have it retrograde natally, as I have. It can feel like the opposite of what other people might expect of the Saturn movements. So usually when you have Saturn natal retrograde and it turns direct, then there's a lot of inner stuff that needs to be released instead of all the outer stuff. But yes, it's all about building a new foundation. And I just wanted to mention that Saturn is actually exalted, like his favorite position of all positions in the signs, that's in Libra. And that tells us a whole lot about the story that some of us have been told about this being mature and adult. It's all about hard work. It's all about doing the non-fun stuff. But in Libra, it's balance, it's pleasure, It's knowing when to enjoy yourself and when to commit. It's when to do the work and when to relax. And that's one of Saturn's greatest lessons, I think, for all of society, for all of us to understand that this Pan figure that you might know from mythology is, or the devil figure that's also been a part of the Saturn symbolic, is also Saturn. It's like all the pleasure, all the doing things just for the fun of it. That's a really important part of maturing into who you are. So don't forget to enjoy yourself and have some fun. And maybe try and see if you can commit to some things in a new way. Maybe commit to the things that you're passionate about, or commit to yourself, or commit to people that makes you feel great, and commit to things that makes you feel great. Commit to food that makes you feel great. That's also Saturn responsibility and commitment. So use this last time of the Virgo energy to kind of figure out what makes me feel good, what doesn't. And not in a I don't feel good, like indulgent way, but in an integrity way, in a way where you, Saturn is all about cause and effect, consequences. So think about how you kind of show up in the world. Not that you need to be perfect, but just like, what consequences do the communication have? What consequences do my actions have here if I just choose not to show up, if I choose not to engage, if I choose to kind of escape from the world, from the problems, from a commitment, things like that. And yes, that can be the easier path, but Saturn is teaching us how to grow, and growth usually comes through restriction. That seems to be how people or humans grow the most. So if we find restriction in our life, and then also find a desire to have something like the only thing we want in our lives, then we grow. So that's a little bit about the Saturn direct this time, but more about it tomorrow night on Facebook Live at 8 o'clock. Hope to see you there. Bye.